The Yautja, great famed killers and predators of the verse, hunting down the greatest creatures known as xenomorphs, being the hunted over the hunted, hailing from a Yautja Prime, a planet back from the ideas and same time goal of killing their own and or others to train and bring the greatest prowess against humans, the unstoppable. They have technology impregnable. But could this match up to other verses, I've always thought? Could they hunt down the greatest to be hunted? In today's video, you see by the title, could the jungle predator hunt down the great famed Delta Squad of Gears of War, with Marcus Phoenix, the leader, Dom Santiago, second in command, the cold train Augustus Woo! And Damien Baird, ex-sergeant, ex-high class kid technology boy, gangster with his skills, all soldiers of the coalition of governments, aka the COG. This video was given to me in the case of inspiration by just, the Predators, an idea, but also a little bit from a friend of mine who will not be named. But simply put, this video idea has been something I've always really thought about possibly making and or discussing. And it's a very interesting one as it comes from two of my favorite franchises and are all around interesting and dope and defined in multiple cases of ways. And to me, right, I really like a lot of the aspects of this type of fight to, discussion. It's not going to be, a conventional one of just scaling, them in comparison to each other. I'm going to be talking about hypotheticals, prep time, making a little bit of a story about it, but also giving the bare minimum scaling chain to, both people. So as again, you see by the title and same to the thumbnail, could Delta Squad survive the hunt of the jungle predator? Let us go ahead and begin. Delta Squad of the coalition of governments, the famed group that saved countless lives, perfected against multiple odds, and saved Sarah. A place akin to Earth, but different in a lot of ways, but very similar to Earth, was stained by conflict. And the coalition of governments, aka the COG, was built out of the back of the case of the conflicts that have basically almost self-collapsed the planet. They have fought against the UAR over a resource that was killing the planet known as emotion, and fought against the odds against the locusts during Emergence Day, aka E-Day, across the boards. The COG is pretty much a regime country-based case, a government reform case of, basic symbolic representation of humanity's strife, resilience, and willpower. In the COG, you have the four greatest Akeem members of Delta Squad, as Delta Squad has many people, many possibilities, equipment, skills, and things along those lines. We're talking about the four best of them. We're going to be talking about Jack in a hypothetical sense, as Jack's peak version, arguably not being a, original base equipment thing for the characters, is a person we'll talk about later. But when it comes down to, the primes are going to be using post Gears of War 3 for 3 of them, and one of them is obviously going to be pre because Dom died, right? RIP to the GOAT. But when it comes down to their leader, Marcus Michael Phoenix is the son of Adam Phoenix, a revered case of, scientist and same time soldier, and was born basically a rich kid to his father and his mother. Being rebellious, embellious as well, being the case of not a warlike person for anyone who doesn't know that, and also impulsive, did not really have anything set for him in life. And two, being picked on, but being like Frank Castle, don't take shit from nobody, and he was rocking with people back to back and getting into fights and conflict, would be changed when he got a better lick of life, when he became friends with Dom, and same time in case of his older brother Carlos, who had a great relationship. Later on, with fighting in different countless wars, with joining the military, aka the COG, would go about facing the greatest odds of not just the Pendulum Wars and different conflicts in general within his own life, and meeting, his bae, Anya Stroud, who he saw as a very beautiful, smart woman, with this being said, would go about, having great lay of experience on his table, right? Going 10 plus in the paint for the case of, wars and years against the case of multiple odds. But eventually, when he went on means to go and possibly save his father, would disobey orders and be sentenced to 40 years in the slab for basically war crimes, disobeying this, and obviously getting fired, with this being said, until he was freed by his boy after serving 4 years in the pen and getting mauled by some war dogs after beating one of the guards to half to death when they called out his wife, Anya Stroud, right, in a disrespectful manner. And that's how he got, his iconic scars, and, before then, repped his iconic do-rag / bandana, as he didn't want a helmet because of pride reasons. But besides that, right, he, has a lot of experience and is the most experienced of the team. And next to Dom, his second in command with skill, will, have great, experience in duo sense with his boy, and all of them have great experience together as a team. As Dom, was a high in command person, a part of the Pendulum Wars, was said to be, high commanding officer in multiple stands, and, only didn't do that stuff of, the higher demand because he wanted to always have Marcus's back. And at the end of the day, because of the things that Dom has went through in trauma, losing his kids to an emergence hole, losing his wife Marie after she went missing after the death of their children, and her becoming pretty much a hollow mess and becoming a vegetable, and having to go ahead and kill his beloved in front of dang near his own brother in the sense of Marcus, and also losing his own brother Carlos, right? Did not want to go and do that, but he has a great deal of experience as well. You have the Coltrane, who became a cog soldier to get vengeance for his family and wanted to go ahead and get some payback, but at the same time, right, and wanted to go ahead and get those paybacks and do things. He also saw the hopefulness of the humanity that he was a part of being more and more dispersed and being dissolved of any possible goodness. So again, with wanting to go ahead and get retribution for his family and get payback, he also wanted to uplift people with his status as the famed GOAT of thrashball, aka pretty much football, and having great celebrity status, wanted to do that, and slowly became a hero and living legend more than he ever thought he would. From a guy who was just a simple thrashball player, coming with the fact of obviously, wanting to get payback and revenge, right? This man went about joining the group with Baird, involving Paddock and Sophia, and was also possibly going to be killed for them disobeying the orders of their, higher advisor over war advisement to use the light mass missile against one of the Locust generals, Karn, who was one of the most oldest and, knowledgeable, esteemed people of, the Locust army, who was around with, Uzul, Ram, and same time Shurak at the same time. But besides, all that layer of experience, when it comes down to skill sets and equipment, this is where we talk about Baird. Baird was on that team, like I said before, and was elite matter of soldier and leader, and did a lot of different big efforts in the matter of those things. But when it comes down to his skill sets, different things with equipment, right, is very, ingenuity like, has great versatility and experience utilizing different equipments and prep time activity, and is definitely the brains of the entire group, with this being said. Right, having great experience within different type of situations, fighting against the odds against the Locusts and other people, and even though getting deranked slash deserted of his honor and things like that, when it comes down to Gears of War Judgment, showed in Gears of War Aftermath in multiple occasions that he is still a very tactical person, and is definitely a very good person to ask in the matter of favors for putting the ravaging capabilities of the team to use, as he knows how to go ahead and lay the smack down to the enemy, shown in his fight against Karn and different people. Now, when it comes down to, the actual scaling of the matter with these people, they would all be scaling into wall level, being able to body different locusts who are multiple times numerously stated to, be way more durable and way more, powerful than a conventional human, as their scales being sharper slash harder than a normal person. They're able to bust their heads open, beat them to death, be able to rip their limbs off, being able to crater walls, pipes break through walls of wood and things like that, or even metal. What is being said, they have lancers, they're able to rip a human body apart, and the lancers are made out of something akin to adamantium or vibranium, being able to rip from multiple things, dang near anything except for the most hardest armors like Ram or Shirak. But because of Tai scaling to Scourge, she was able to cut a literal tank in half, right? We'll be scaling from the highest level of wall level to reasonably small building plus, as obviously a tank coverage of its hide and its being would be similar in a tank in real life sense to be able to take those damages. Obviously a tank like similar vehicle is able to take the vast case of bites and hurls of the krill, which is able to rip the human body apart like a freaking blizzard of blades, basically, right? Able to go ahead and atomize them in a millisecond. And obviously Tai was able to scale to somebody who can cut through that. Now I know that might sound flimsy and wild, but if the fact that, all of them possibly have lancers and can cut through those things, and can obviously scale decently towards them, then that's a reasonable thing. Granted, the scaling might be more consistent with Marcus and Dom because they fought Scourge while Baird and Cole did not, but because they're said to be scalable to them, and the fact that Cole is able to run through Locust like a linebacker as he is, that would be reasonable scaling. So you can get the cog to be reasonably wall level to small building plus pretty casually. Then speed, they would just be a general street tier scaling. You can maybe say subsonic if you think they're very good precision aim dodging, and maybe supersonic if you really think they're able to scale to true, bullets and, bullet timing activity. But, consistently would just be the decentest margin of, faster than a general human. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes down to the cog. Time to go and talk about the great predator that would see them as prey. The jungle predator, aka the predator of Predator 1, is a very high revered and explained character on the record of his skill, hunting prowess, and accolades, as he was sent to Earth like many other predators across years to go ahead and prove his great skill and revel in combat and hunting like no other seen before, as he was probably one of the first case of predators in a while to be sent back down to Earth, even though predators have went to Earth before, as prey takes place in the 18th century. There's also the Federer again, a Predator movie set in feudal Japan, heard one about pirates. So they've been here for a long time, 18th to 13th century most likely. But this predator has had multiple accomplishments of hunts and killings on different planets. When it comes down to his rank, you would reasonably have to be a very acclaimed predator, as acclaimed to this level of being a predator that has hunted down many creatures and foes would be a very high scale thing. There's a record of the fact that a predator like him has all the case of reasonable scale in comparison to be one of the most fierce predators and killers of all, especially because of the fact that, being at his rank, you would most likely have to go ahead and kill a xenomorph, the greatest adversary of the predators, the most elite species to be hunted in the verse, and same time, most likely of the highest order, kill a xenomorph queen. Queen obviously being the strongest of the xenomorph by default, and same time being one of the most strongest adversaries of the entire case of the predator verse, right? Slash the alien verse, was being said. But yeah, he also, with his equipment and skill sets, has multiple different things, the versatility, like the case of, throwing daggers, spear, has, a laser pointer, aka a high velocity beam that he shoots that moves at the speed of light, is considered to be a laser by multiple different accolades. Is very skilled within jumping, moving, agileness, again has multiple experience in battles under his belt, and is a very efficient hunter and stalker of prey, shown within the Predator 1 movie being able to outsmart all of the humans who were the most trained case of soldiers and experience on this Black Ops mission to kill some terrorists, right? But then got put in the game of the most vile thing, right? With the Predator showcasing the capability to kill them all one by one, rip them apart flesh by flesh, being able to rip out their skeleton / skull from the back end, and at the same time from obviously having multiple crowns, possible creatures' deaths under his belt, with reasonably scaling in the most highest record of wall level scaling, and obviously, possibly in his rank, reasonably scaling over other predators of the past, like the case of the prey predator who's able to kill a bear and other animals that should all scale reasonably in a high record of esteem, wall level, but is also able to survive, the destruction of a forest, break open wood, push a motherfucker through the dirt at high speeds, being able to, scale to people that are able to crack necks and burst metal to an extent. It's very high level, wall level stuff. But because of his technology, especially with his self-destruction technology, is able to go ahead and outdo, all that, with having the capability to be from a building level plus level explosion, depending on how you perceive the amount of destruction in the forest, to being a town level amount of explosion, depending on the predator. It really depends on the velocity / charge up of the explosion, but reasonably so, it can dish out those things. But because of his rank and mixed assertion of other predators to be scaled off of, to be scaled above, he could scale not just a high wall level, but reasonably small building plus, from explosions, desecration of the forest that he survived and only having a little bit of blood taken from it, and at the same time maybe scaling near 2 building plus, if you agree that he was able to kill a xenomorph queen who's able to wreck, entire ships from the inside out, break open buildings, destroy a water tanker, all that stuff. And with speed, again, because of having the laser and scaling mix record to, subsonic plus, getting out of the eye of other people, having, camouflage to visibility, what is being said, and, having a laser would by himself scale to the subsonic, possibly plus, aka faster than the eye can see, levels of speed, but with his laser would reasonably scale sub to, good relativistic, aka pushing, the speed of light, with his pushing, the highest possible ordeal, as this laser can disintegrate people like it's magma, and it's very fast and multiple accolades. It reasonably should be pushing a great deal of that. So speed generally again is subsonic, but speed by itself could be reasonably sub to good beyond the general quota pushing the speed of light. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the jungle predator. When it comes down to the hunt itself, how I see this going is a very interesting thing. With Delta Squad, and the environment that they're going to be in is going to be a random jungle area on Sarah. They know that they're being hunted. They don't know exactly who. They were sent out here by a distress call by possibly another COG unit, aka the Coalition of Governments, having fear for a creature being another big problem just as much as the Locust. So they send out the best of the best, Delta Squad, with Marcus, Dom, Baird, and Cole. They don't know who they're being hunted by, but obviously the jungle predator knows them. The jungle predator, probably for prep time of Sarah, has killed multiple COG, prized some locusts, desecrated different lands in the case of, finding the greatest possible prey to be had in the means of, racking his reputation to the highest order. And so he will go about hunting them down, and reasonably, because of his experience, will be able to cut them down and hunt them down one by one. As reasonably, he has stealth like never seen before. I see the first person to go, unfortunately, being Baird, as I feel like Baird would not be very ready for what's to come. I feel like Cole, even with his great physical strength, could not outdo the Predator, as he's more stronger than someone who has more concreteness of, scaling to be the most peak human, as Cole, even though possibly could body a human being to the most ridiculous scale, if he has killed a xenomorphs are able to rip humans apart and burst through their body the same. And if he scales to the highest order of stuff, which is mixed, considerable, then he would just demolish him physically. There's nothing he could do, and also he doesn't even have to kill him in a full one-on-one fight. I believe the Predator would body everybody in a one-on-one fight, and the only person that maybe that can get around him because of his intellect is Marcus Phoenix. But Marcus, in an environment like this, unless he learned of something that I don't really think, even if you want to try to say the story of Predator 1 could go to the same means, wouldn't really work, especially because, one, he's obviously way stronger than all of them. He would body Bear, he would eviscerate Cole, he would tear apart Dom, and I don't see any way Marcus could actually stand to a creature like him. There's also the stamp of, how he lost in the case of, the actual fight being not by conventional matters, right? It was simply by the fact that, obviously him, or the Schwarzenegger, killed him by the Predator being too arrogant, getting mixed bar of, prep time, or a case of, a miss up, on the case of how the Predator was going to fight, being that the Predator did not fight him with actual full sense in the matter, as he thought that, he was nothing. And because he was fighting him by his honor code, he took off all of his equipment, fought him at the same equal footing. And to be fair, I believe that would happen the same with Marcus, but the way that he got him was using his own equipment against him, as, in case you guys do not know, as something to talk about with prep time, is the fact that the Predators have a heat-seeking laser, aka it does not follow by aim. Some of them do follow by aim, but it's most proficient by, reacting to heat. And the only thing to counteract this is either not moving, being dissolved of heat by being covered in liquids, or any form of, non-normal material that can kind of be a shield of that, and as well just being out of the line of heat-seeking proficiency. So with all that being said and taken into consideration, that is something I don't feel like Marcus could actually best. And it's he used his laser against him in the mix of the fight, and also got up on him with stabbing this motherfucker in the stomach with, I think, like a piece of a log. So, mixed bar, prep time, some people even would stretch plot armor. That's how it would go in this type of scenario. Conventionally, I don't see Marcus knowing that anytime soon, figuring it out, and I don't even think it would matter too much, especially if he would throw all that away to a hypothetical sense just to fight him. So yeah, I see Marcus getting fodderized as well. But if they, had knowledge of this stuff and try using it against the Predator and getting around, I could see the last one standing still be Marcus, but Marcus maybe being able to use it against them and getting his Lancer again and possibly being able to cut him down in a good switch action, or them battling it out and basically having a sword fight with a Lancer and his claws. And I could see Marcus getting the dub. The only way that possibly, he could lose, aka the Predator, to perfect against them is using his greater physical might to jack, the flesh of Marcus by, piercing in it or crunching him by the neck and flinging him like a rag doll, as he has been shown the capability to do. If he just tries to like bench Marcus, Marcus can get, crunched like a freaking bottle of water. But if he, stays to his gun, aka stays to his greater intellect and battle IQ, he could outmaneuver the Predator and split him open and fully, avenge his brothers and, save Sarah from a fucking unfortunate, cursed, losing battle of losing countless men and women to the hunt of the Predator. But there's also tick of the fact that if they had prep time, aka they could utilize greater technology they didn't know and could go against them, I believe that the Predator would in fact lose to the fullest, right? As with this prep time of Jack, different equipment to be used in explosion array, and the Predator not being used to these type of prep times, and also taking the fact that they would know again the weakness of the Predator of being the honor code, and at the same time the heat seeking thing. I could see them doubling up on pressure to go about stopping him in his tracks and defeating him wherever he possibly lies. The only big problem is the fact that I do see someone losing their life or getting badly injured in it, and it's all from the back of having all this equipment, getting a little bit cocky, and not actually being truly, the most efficient killers on the same level as another to do it. If I had to say anyone that could do this, in the mix of battle, I could see it being Cole, but not to a ridiculous regard where, he's just being, a dimwit hothead or something like that, where he doesn't consider, the possible, defeat to come. It's just the Predator, again, is more, skilled, has more experience, and also is way more physically stronger. And depending on, how they want to do it, they're all just going at him and throwing all different type of cases of, disrespecting, prep time at his, face, then I believe that one of them can be taken out, and I can see it being Cole or Baird. But if they play to the most tactical means by the leadership of Marcus, as they usually do, being in character, then I would say that it's pretty easy dubs for them to go about taking out the Predator. Now the Predator had prep time or set up different means of killing them by using his greater record of technology in the midst of one-on-one or a 1v4 fight, and was throwing all the stops at them and them doing the same. I see it being a very contentious fight, and I believe that two of them at least can survive, especially Marcus and Dom, as them having the best case of teamwork and same time experience to get out of the explosion and cut down or just full obliterate the Predator, and definitely have interesting stories to tell. But I don't think Cole and Bear would survive, unfortunately, because of the utilization of their tech. The fact that Jack, I feel like, would get disabled, destroyed, and the fact that because of the laser being so much more crazy from a preset notion and knowledge, might be able to full fodderize and destroy a lot of the potential capabilities of maneuvering and doing other things. But I can see some arguments to say, because of their teamwork, their experience, and what they've been through, that they could perfect as a group against the Predator. But I can see with all his non-stop unload of technology being a little bit much for them, and especially because, again, if they go with the preset knowledge of just trying to mow down the Predator and using all their advanced technology and experience on wacky array, that yeah, it won't be looking too good for him. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, mommy. Love y'all.